Surf, the new little the shit that's going on.
Yeah. I'm one of them people where, like I said, I wait till that info get to me, get it get to me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Me and Surf really
Yeah.
close. Surf called my girl when she got shot in the face and cried on the phone. Like I got it on camera. Like I never put it out, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
on our camera at home. We was under the thing. He cried because he said, "Cinema, I've been there before. I know what you went through. Like I got shot 5 times. Cinema got like they literally cried. Like we cried. Like
Okay, let me stop it there for a second. Okay, this is Hitman on a podcast called No Face, No Case. And he was asked about the Sue Surf situation and he addressed it and going back into the history of him and Surf and how close they were before his incarceration and addressing some of the bloggers that's actually covering the situation. Like me, I'm one of the bloggers that cover the situation. A lot of bloggers covering it. And this was sent to me, I guess, to actually hear this and see what's going on, hear this. So I'm bringing it to y'all. So you know me, I'm gonna do my due diligence to see what's going on. Now, I'm already on record saying this. Because when I'm breaking stuff down, I be realistic and real about the whole thing, no matter what. Because again, the hardest thing about being real is being real. You can't be part-time real. Either you real or you not. And with that being said, I'm gonna tell the truth, okay, on what's going on. Now, I'm on record saying people like Hitman Holla, people like Shotgun Suge, people like Surf, not Surf, Suge, people like Hitman, Arsenal, Suge, Calico, Tay Rock. I'm just trying to see who all we know Surf was real close to. John, no, it wasn't John. No. Even though they all was in the brotherhood, but New Jersey Twerk, I'm believing. Um, People like that, I don't expect for them to openly condemn, bash, slander, Sue Surf in any type of way because they have a history of being real friends, and that's just not realistic. Like, if you have a friend that's a snitch, but at the time y'all was friends, you didn't really know that he was a snitch because that situation didn't occur to the point that it's now on record showing that he's a snitch. But your love for him was genuine and solid and true before the case by which he actually rolled over on people. That could be disappointing and it could be bad for people, names, and brands. That's why I advise Hitman to be very, very careful. Don't go by your heart, go by your mind. Your heart can deceive you, but your mind 9 times out of 10 will not deceive you. I always tell people, don't follow your heart, follow your mind. The heart can change. The heart can change. But your mind operating in truth, let that be the better judgment for you. So put aside feelings and be careful when you're a man in position in your position because you stand a lot to lose, especially when it comes to things like this. The Bible say, cursed is the man who put his trust in another man. And you don't know in different circumstances what will come out of that man. And you have seen in history so many people who once was main man's, right-hand men, homies, gang, end up becoming enemies. Locking each other up, killing each other, sticking each other up, laying with each other woman. Understand that. Cursed is the man who put his trust in another man. You want to be careful with that. And that's why the smartest thing is to not say something when you don't know what's going on. Because I know for a fact, Hitman be being told information that's not true. I heard the boss tell him things that's not true. J2 tell him things that's not true. People on Spaces telling him things that's not true. I have actually heard him correct them on things they were telling him that wasn't true, that they thought he didn't know about because he don't really be in the limelight like this, that he had to correct them on. But actually did it in a way where he didn't really expose them, but literally let it be known like, nah, I heard differently because I actually was seeing something. I saw him do that before. So he need to be careful of things that's being told him. You know what I mean? Because people actually told him lies about me before that I had to talk to him about, that we talked about, that he needed to get actually clearance on. So I'm real enough to know that when you love somebody and you cool with somebody and you stand 10 toes down with them, and then it comes out that they did this or did that, yeah, that could be very disappointing. And if you really had love for them, and if you really respected them, and they were really friends like you say you were to them, you don't publicly shame them or knock them. But what you do is let it be known like, look, you know my situation, and you know what I stand to lose. Now, I publicly won't go on record for you, but I will support you privately, seeing that I don't have all that I need to know. And I'm not going, and here's the thing I warn Hitman not to do. Do not come out speaking against the ones who know that you don't have the information on. Because I'm just going to keep it 100. I know, like Hitman going to make a statement about the bloggers that saying Surf is a snitch. It's the same ones that was saying he was a snitch. And he's talking about Byron Blake, but he's speaking in a plurality. Well, I don't know every blogger that covered Hitman's situation. I know when it came to me, I never said he was a snitch, because what he did when dealing with the police of the home invaders that came in his home and could have killed his wife and didn't know he was home and probably was going in there to kill him too, he wasn't wrong for what he did. In no type of way, I don't look at his situation as being snitching in any type of way, doing a home invasion of men coming in to kill you and your girl or harm anybody else that could have been in your house, even if it was your children. I already broke that down, been on record speaking about that many times, came to his defense on that. But I know he's speaking about Byron Blake when he make that statement. And I know Byron Blake may not be a favorable guy by which people may like or whatever. But let me tell you something. When it came to this Surf paperwork that he have, that he presented, that he put out there, he was not telling a lie on that paperwork, okay? And I'm not going to say that man is a liar just because I don't like him. And I'm not going to go against other channels who literally know the truth because I'm trying to defend somebody I like. If that's one of my guys and one of my homies, like I'm on record saying, well, my people who I know and things like that, they don't be on the internet and things like that. You know what I mean? And I know a couple people personally like that were snitches, that have told on people. You get what I mean? But it wasn't the internet thing. You know, we talking about the internet. You know what I mean? And there are people who I know with snitches that I have to cut off, because where we live, where I'm from, that's not safe. That's not safe. You know what I mean? Being from Chicago, things like that. Being from Milwaukee, that's not really safe where we from. And this ain't no internet stuff. Okay? This ain't no internet stuff. Now, again, I can have love and respect for somebody, but there's still a guideline by how the streets operate, especially where we from. I'm not 51 years old for nothing, living in these dangerous cities I'm from, okay? So being raised in Chicago and Milwaukee, let me tell you something. That's only an hour away from each other. And I've been raised in both. I'm born and raised in Chicago, then moved to Milwaukee. Let me tell you something. No. Okay? That's all it is. Milwaukee ain't nothing but little Chicago. Majority of the people that's in Milwaukee from Chicago. Okay? Or down south. But let me tell you something. Streets is different. This ain't no internet stuff. I have had to literally check people on snitching, cut people off who snitched. I can still get like, look, I had love for you, I respect you, but you're not safe to be around. Especially the people you actually did this to. You get what I mean? And it was real drama, real beef, real wartime. I'm just keeping it 100. Other places ain't the same. Other places ain't the same. But I know where we from. Oh, yeah. These are no-nos that I'm telling you, headhunters literally didn't came after people as a result of that. Now, I say that to say this. Different strokes with different folks. Okay? But Byron Blake was honest about that paperwork. Byron Blake was honest about that paperwork. Just like I'm honest about the paperwork. And I'm going to show some real stuff. Because, hold on, let me play some more of this. But I get Hitman and Holler and Byron Blake. They got bad blood, man. They don't like each other. We already seen some of their history and background, how far they went, you know what I mean? How far they went when it came to each other. And that, for the most part, wasn't no internet stuff. That was some real stuff. A lot of people got involved behind them things. And I know that when you got a disdain for somebody, you don't really care what they say out of their mouth. It is what it is. Anything you say is BS. You know, anything you say is BS. And I believe that could be one of these things that Hitman Holler deals with when it comes to Byron Blake. You know what I mean? But I don't have no ill feel towards Byron Blake. And his breakdown of that paperwork, he did a masterful job, and it was true. Now, I know people like Sirk more than Byron Blake, and it is what it is. But the man ain't lying about that paperwork. And people who read it, they know he's telling the truth. I just can't be, look, I refuse to put my name reputation on the line for a liar, especially a snitch. I don't care how good he rapped. I don't care how cool he was. I don't care what work he put in. If you're going to hold others to that same standard and accountability, you hold him to it too. But again, if you're a good friend of his, you don't publicly have to do that. And you shouldn't. And you shouldn't do it publicly if you're a real friend of his who actually love him and actually have his back. But what you should not do is speak against those who actually is covering it in truth, who don't have that relationship with him, who don't care about feelings and things like that when you actually covering the truth. When other people been called out on what they did. Now, that's one thing I wouldn't do. If my best friend snitched and rolled over on some people and the internet killing him on that, I'm not saying nothing. I'm not saying nothing at all. I talk to him behind the scenes, but I'm not going to publicly tell a person who telling the truth about what he did, like, oh, no, that's a lie. He ain't do that. No, I'm not going to do that because you're not going to beat that paperwork. Like I'm going to show y'all in a second. You're not getting around that paperwork. I don't care what you say. That paperwork speaks louder than you. That paperwork speaks louder than you. Now, watch this. Let's listen to some more of this.
That shit just took it past. We was already close before that. That's why he did it, but yeah. I never turned on a nigga like that. Yeah. So what I mean is, if he did foul, he did something, I'm gonna let it come to me, and I'm gonna handle it when I gotta handle it. I'm not going to look for that. Right. Because if you really fuck with a nigga, that'll hurt you.
Okay, so right there, what he said, because I love him, because we have a relationship, I'm not even looking for that. I don't really think that's wise, because if you're going to be with him, if you're going to be publicly addressing him, and you know your position, you know what you're doing, you are a husband, you also have a newborn child, You also have a brand. You better know about things like that. That is one of the that is a foolish statement to make. You better be careful of those things, and you need to know your surroundings. That's one of the codes that we have in the streets under the banner that I was under. Like people already know, I used to be a gangster disciple, and my brothers and them ran it. Okay, and we had a statement in that organization: to be aware is to be alive. That was something that we was always taught. To be aware is to be alive. You need to be aware of the people around you, but be aware of your surroundings. You need to know who ride, who don't ride. You need to know these things because it can cost you your life. And in this day and age now, being around certain people will cost you your brand too. That's why so many people in the industry and hip hop, when they find out that snitches is snitches and things like that, they disassociate themselves from them. They disconnect themselves from them. Look at what happened when Big Meech came out. All them rappers were willing to receive him, accept him, and things like that. And they had a concert they were finna do for him to get him back on his feet and give him all this money. When 50 Cent put that out there, showing that he rolled over on people, showing that he ratted on people, all those rappers backed away from that. Like, nah, can't do that. Because this gonna mess up our brand. This gonna mess up our name. We already on record saying we don't mess with rats. We don't mess with snitches. And we hold people accountable who do that stuff. And we literally blackball them and shun them and turn them away. So guess what? I can't have no acceptance when it comes to Big Meech just because he got a reputation of being a drug dealer and put niggas on. I still got to stand on what I actually been holding other people accountable to and disassociating people from me and around us from doing. Same thing. You can love somebody, you can like them, but are you willing to put your name, brand, reputation, and family at risk for the sake of their honor when they showing that they dishonorable? You want to be careful about that. That's not a wise decision to make. That's not a wise decision to make at all. Listen, I'm going to tell you the truth, brother. I'm not going to give you no yes, man, all this. I can care the less because I make a lot of money my damn self, okay? I make a lot of money my damn self. I make close to $200,000 a year my damn self, okay? And they don't come off no internet stuff. This is like the smallest of my money revenue, but I'm trying to tell you, I ain't one of these dudes. I ain't a bum. I ain't a lame. I ain't a coward. I come from that life. I did 10 and a half years in prison. I know paperwork. I had people snitching on me and told on me and family members of mine. So I'm very good at this. Hold on once.
You know what I'm saying? So if it was that, but then I got word on some stuff where I'm reading a little bit myself. I ain't the ultimate paperwork reader or nothing. You know what I'm saying? I don't, you know what I'm saying? A nigga like, you know what I'm saying? I'm on TV. I ain't, that lifestyle is so far in my past. I'm not even breaking my neck. But then I see.
Look, right, hold on. Let me get to that. But that's a perfect point of what I'm saying. When you put in a position like Hitman Holler, you have to disconnect yourself from all type of street stuff, gangs, leave that trash alone. Because when you playing in that stuff and you got 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and even if you're saying you fully all the way in, it will come back and visit you. It's going to visit you. Because you can't be in the streets and be a father. You can't be in the streets and a husband. You can't be in the streets and still be successful. You're going to have to make a decision. And if you continue to wait and hold it off and don't make the decision, the streets will make the decision for you. Sad thing about it is it will not be a decision that you like. When I came to the knowledge of the living God and I came to the truth of who he is, I had to make a decision. Are you going to choose Jesus Christ or are you going to choose Larry Hoover? Which one you're choosing? Because at the end of the day, Jesus Christ had the key to hell, death, and the grave. And your choices of going against him will determine the outcome of your life by which you die prematurely. And I had to come to that understanding, to the knowledge of truth, to know that I choose Jesus over all games. And this is one of the reasons why I like exposing things like this so that people can know that this is bull. Okay, even though people have been incarcerated behind these things, even though people have died in the line of these things, but it's bull because people should be free. People should not be in the grave as a result of making proper and right decisions for their life, their family, their future in God. That's why these lies need to be exposed. And they need to show that when these people trying to sell this image to you, that when it comes to them being behind them bars and things like that, they roll over almost every time. Some of your biggest gangsters and mob bosses and things like that have told and rolled over and literally took plea deals and told on people. And then they'll tell you this life is terrible. Surf even on record in the paperwork saying it. My life with the Rolling 60s is over. I want nothing else to do with them. But that's why he didn't care about giving up the information about them. He was this close to getting in the industry and he wanted it. He could taste it. He was willing to do whatever he could to get out of it so he can get right back to it. That's exactly what he did. Hold on. Let's listen to this part.
The niggas who attacking him.
Yeah.
They attack me. I'm not even breaking my neck. But then I see the niggas who attacking him.
Yeah.
They attack me.
Okay, see, right there. So that's the statement he's talking about. Talking about Byron Blake, because he was actually on the campaign to call him a snitch. And it may have been other bloggers that may have done it too. I'm not really for sure because I don't be really watching a lot of people, but I know for a fact, watching the Byron Blake and Hitman, because that was a big story, that Byron Blake was definitely on the campaign with A-Verb. You remember when A-Verb was going at Hitman, and they was actually came together to team up to actually try to expose Hitman for being some type of snitch and working with the police of the home invaders who came in his house with guns and ready to take lives if his wife didn't shoot back at them and actually defend herself while he was on the phone telling her what to do. You know what I mean? Because she was by herself and he was out of town. So I don't look at that as snitching in no type of way. He did what he was supposed to do as a man and a husband, and she followed the leadership of her man, and she may have saved her own life. So I never looked at that about that. Look, I'm 51 years old. I ain't one of these childish people. I ain't one of these kids. I speak real stuff, and it may go over people's head who young and don't even get it. You know what I mean? They don't understand this stuff. And I'm not going to put nothing on Surf that's not true, but I know the things about Surf that came out to be true, and this is one of them. Okay? This is one of them. And this is the truth. And like I say in my slogan, look, I don't know you, so I could care less about your feelings. I'm telling the truth about what it is because I'm obligated to do that to my fans and supporters. And that's regarding to what? But again, I'm on record saying this, and I mean this because this is so true. If you are a Hitman Holla, if you are Arsenal, if you are Shotgun Suge, if you are Calico, if you are a New Jersey Twerk, if you are Tay-Rock, a Jess, even Easy, because he was up under them, you don't and you shouldn't speak out against Surf, even if he did do it. Because if you was a true friend who actually really loved him, you don't do things like that. But what you don't do is come at those who's telling the truth about what so many people were trying to deceive others about, that the paperwork actually exposed. See, the paperwork, when you begin to say things like this not true, and that paperwork showing that it is true, regardless to what guys saying for feelings in relationships and whatever their motives and intentions is, the paperwork have his legal documented plea confession of rolling over on the Rolling 60s. When y'all begin to say things like he didn't tell, he didn't do that, what that does is expose you as being, first of all, indifference, expose you of being not a man of principle and integrity. It exposes you for actually having some type of agenda, a motive by which you know the truth, but lying as a result to use this as some type of means for some type of future advantage that you may want with this man later on, sooner or later. That is terrible to do. that is terrible to do at the expense of your own soul, because the word of God is clear. And this is what I try to educate you brothers on, because I know y'all don't know things like this. The Bible say all liars will have their part in the lake of fire. When God is exposing gangs, when God is exposing these things, and y'all trying to bail people out, what God is exposing, you are fighting against the kingdom of heaven. Because this need to be exposed. When you have people, when you have these rappers who popular, selling hundreds of thousands of records all around the world, influencing the youth, that gang get the place to be, and they polarizing it and making it seem popular and attractive. And then when they leaders get hit and the people of influence get hit, and it actually shows that that lifestyle is nothing but satanic and from the devil. And then y'all say, no. He didn't do that. He's solid. He stood on business. He handled it. What you are doing is fighting against the kingdom, and you are assisting Satan in his criminal dirty work by which many of your family and loved ones are murdered, incarcerated, and strung out on drugs that lead to molestation, rape, and all these things, because it's all channeled in together. Why you think when they be hit with indictment, the indictment be reading murder, drugs, guns, trafficking, extortion, rape? Why you think it be reading that? Because that's all that comes with it. And when God is exposing the industry by which the devil is using to destroy, let the kingdom handle its business. Stop assisting Satan. Because I'm telling you, that stuff come down on you even in your ignorance. Now, watch this. Let's go a little deeper.
Yeah.
They attacked me. They was running around to attacking them.
Yeah.
They attacked me. They was running around saying I'm a snitch.
Right.
Ain't told on nobody. I ain't got nobody to tell on. So niggas' word ain't even good with me. Right. So just because niggas saying it don't mean I'm gonna wait to see what's going on, and when they get to me, I make my decision.
Okay. Let's see if my word good to you. And again, he's your friend. You don't supposed to come out publicly, but you need to know this knowledge because people are lying. Hold on. When he make one more statement, then I'm gonna go into the paperwork. Watch this. It's for you, Hitman. It's for you, brother.
But then if I was talking to niggas in my family who really are paperwork readers.
Okay, right here. He said he was talking to people who he know that's really paperwork readers. Let's see what they told him.
See, plea deals, like I never been in a situation to take a plea deal. Right. So I don't, it's different word. It's a lot of shit that I don't know.
Yeah. It's a lot of, and to be honest.
Okay. It's a lot of word. It's a lot of stuff. So Hitman being honest. I've never been in a situation where I had to take plea deals or do this. So it's a lot of wording in transcripts and documents that I don't know, just like a contract. That's why they tell you get people who specialize in this to read the fine print, because you could see something and don't know what you signing off on, and that one word you didn't understand literally got you tied into something that you can't get out of because you didn't know what that one word meant. And I'm gonna show you one word that I know these niggas wasn't educated on. Reason why I say niggas is because it's always a difference between black men and niggas. Make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about it. There's a big difference between a black man and a nigga. You better know it. Let me show you something. This is what they didn't know. Now I'm going to show you the paperwork of what Surf testified under. Surf testified in his plea deal under something that's called in furtherance of the gang. Let's look at the definition. This for you, Hitman. You said people you knew that new paperwork told you things. Let's see, did they really know paperwork, and did they really tell you this? This is what Surf plea deal and testimony was under. This right here in the court of law called in furtherance of the gang. This is what he testified under. In furtherance of the gang, that all his actions were done in furtherance of the gang. This, look at what it says up here. Under RICO law, what does it mean to commit crime in furtherance of the gang? Look at what it says here. In furtherance of the gang, the crimes must be committed to benefit the enterprise. Prosecutors must show the individual committed crimes at the direction of the gang. See that? Let me read this again. Prosecutors must show the individual committed crimes at the direction of the gang, in association with gang members, or for the purpose of advancing their position in the gang. So this is what it's saying. Surf testified under his actions being done in furtherance of the gang, which meant that he's not taking accountability for his own actions, but yet his actions were done in command, in direction of the gang. The gang made him do it. The gang told him to do it, by which they were indicted under, which makes it a RICO. So Surf is taking the plea deal under being an active member in the Rolling 60s that committed actions in furtherance of the gang, by which he was commanded and directed to carry out his orders under the direction of the gang. That's what that means. So when people be saying, oh, Surgeon took accountability for his own actions, no, he didn't, because his plea is being made in furtherance of the gang, by which he's blaming the gang for his actions that he did. And the gang is under indictments of murder. It's murder under these indictments. So in other words, I did it in furtherance of the gang that is known to be notorious murders, by which I had no choice, or my life could have been on the line. If you actually read some of the paperwork of Jason Franklin, who is said to be the leader of them in New Jersey, one of his charges was that he was giving out orders to the Crips to carry out these acts of criminal actions, by which he was indicted under and had to take a 30-year plea deal. See what's happening here? Watch this. Look what's under this. Important considerations. Look at the broad scope. This is about Surf charges he pleaded guilty on. Look what this says. RICO allows prosecutors to charge individuals for crimes they may not have committed directly, but were committed by other members of the gang in furtherance of their common criminal goals. You see that? Notice, here's the thing that niggas don't get. When they be reading that word in furtherance, they mean it, they look at it as some type of addition to. That's not what that means. And furtherance of mean that it is coming from a direct command from above, by which you are now operating under. So in other words, Jason Franklin, who is called the leader of them, right? This is an example. Every crime that they were doing, if they taken a plea that says I did this in furtherance of, that means that the leadership commanded and directed you under their discretion to carry out orders on behalf of the gang. So anybody who plead to this is not taking accountability for their own personal solely actions, but what they are doing is saying my action was done in straight command in direction of the gang, who had the authority to give out these commands and orders by which I acted upon. That's what that means. That's what that means right there. Nobody could get around this. That's what in furtherance of the gang mean. That I didn't commit these actions on my own behalf, but these was done as a direct command and order of authority from above in the gang by which I acted upon. That's what that means. So in other words, Surf told on the headship of the Rolling 60s by which he operated and committed his acts. Now, let's see his confession. Watch his confession. So here's the paperwork of Surf, all black and white. Y'all see this? What I'm saying? You're not gonna be able to get around this paperwork. This paperwork is louder than words. Okay, watch what the paperwork says. Check this out, Hitman. I don't know if you saw this. Remember what I just showed you? That Surf is pleading to being doing these acts under the command, direction, and authority of the Rolling 60s. In furtherance of the gang. And this is why the prosecutors got him in the plea deal, because they're proving this by his confession. He was the last one to get arrested and the first one to plead. So they all didn't come together. They lied to you, Hitman. They all didn't come together and agree to no damn plea deal. Like you said people were saying. They didn't do that, brother. They lying to you. Okay? Watch this. Now, there go the definition. Now, let's see what Surf plead to. Pay attention.
At this time, Mr. Cox, I am going to proceed to the factual basis, and once again, your verbal acknowledgments are required. From at least in or around 2015 through on or about September 22nd, 2022, were you a member and associate of the Rolling 60s Neighborhood Crips gang, known as the Rolling 60s or the Enterprise? The defendant: yes, ma'am.
Very important. What they are doing is establishing RICO. They already presented documentation. Now they call Surf up for representation. This is what people don't get about the court of law, that they don't understand. Remember, back in the days, man, they used to charge during the time of segregation. They used to be putting all type of Trump charges on black folks, just giving them cases for no reason, as a result of not wanting to give them the freedom to vote and things like that. Because once you're a convicted felon and do all these things, you're not allowed to vote. So what happened then, they were putting a lot of cases on black folk to try to stop them from having voting rights and to be liberated, right? So they was having all type of fake paperwork and stuff, just charging them with things. But now we live in an era where you need more than paperwork. So the indictment is paperwork, actually presented to the higher courts to actually show a criminal organization enterprise taking place, right? So basically you presenting it to the court saying, look, we got all these people and this what they were doing. So the court's reading the documentation like, okay, but we need more evidence than this. Do you have physical representation? And that's when they call Surf up. Yes, not only do we have documentation, now we have physical representation, and they call Surf up. He's representing what the paperwork is saying about them. He's the physical representation of the documentation, and that's why they asked them, are you a member of the Rolling 60s? Remember, the documentation is a Rolling 60s indictment. Now Surf is speaking as a representative for the courts against the Rolling 60s by being an active member. Y'all better know court, okay? So he's the representer, he's representing the state against the Rolling 60s, by which they are now establishing the RICO documentation in his physical representation. Everything Surf is saying and admitting to in the physical presence is what the documentation was presented before the courts. That's all he's doing. He's confirming it in the physical. That actually makes it not racial, nor discriminating, nor some made up paperwork, because now you have a physical representation of the person who was actually actively involved, speaking on behalf of the state against the Rolling 60s. This is a fact nobody could get around. And that's why they asking him, were you a member, an associate of the Rolling 60s Neighborhood Crip gang, known as the Rolling 60s or enterprise. So in other words, in this documentation, anytime you hear the word enterprise, it's saying Rolling 60s. So you see how they just set that up? So Surf says, yes, I am. So he's the representation of the paperwork in the physical presence, confirming that the government is not lying and they did their job accurately against us, even though the other members have no knowledge of this while they fighting their charges, trying to get free from this. Surf is going on record on behalf of the government, speaking against what they trying to fight. Watch this. Let's go further. So now he's saying, I am a Rolling 60s member. And remember, the indictment is the Rolling 60s indictment. So they have one of the persons involved standing before the court, speaking on behalf of the court against the Rolling 60s who's under the indictment. Watch this.
The court. Did the Rolling 60s operate in the District of New Jersey?
Right there. Every question is strategically set up to establish and prove the RICO against him and the other co-defendant that he is now agreeing to. He already just said he's a member. Now they're saying, where did y'all operate? In New Jersey. Now they're showing that this is federal, because not only is it criminal, but you're operating, committing all these crimes on government soil. And they being tried in the state of New Jersey. Watch this.
The defendant. Yes, ma'am. The court. Did the enterprise have rules, traditions, and protocols that you followed as a member and associate?
Very important. Now they are establishing that the rules that they was actually putting in play was criminally designed to actually go against government laws by which they were violating as an enterprise, being the Rolling 60s, by which they are now indicted under. That's what he mean when he just made that statement. Did y'all have rules and all these things? How did y'all carry out y'all orders by which y'all doing these things? And they are criminal organized. That's where you get organized. Did y'all have rules? That's organized. So they had these rules by which they established under the gang, by which they operated criminally on government soil, by which they were investigated, leading to the indictment.
The defendant. Yes, ma'am.
See? Yes, ma'am. Remember, he's speaking as a member. So he's literally telling you that this is what we did. And we knowingly knew that we were committing criminal acts as Rolling 60s on government soil, by which the RICO is the truth.
The court. During the time that you were a member of the enterprise, did you knowingly conspire, that is, agree with other members and associates of the enterprise to commit at least 2 criminal acts in furtherance of the enterprise?
Very important, because in order to get a conviction of RICO, you must prove that there were at least 2 crimes committed, at the least. And that's why Surf was only given 2 charges of the 6. In exchange for his plea deal, even though he came in having 6 charges on him, they dropped 4 and only stuck him with 2, because they only need 2 to actually have the conviction of the RICO and establish the Rolling 60s as a criminal enterprise, by which they all were indicted, and they would now have to have a harder fight as a result of Surf giving the first plea. This is exactly what's happening here. And notice what it says. Were you an organizer? So in other words, you deliberately and knowingly organized criminal actions by which they were all indicted. And notice, he's speaking on behalf of the Rolling 60s. That's why it says, did you agree with other members, plural, and associates, plural? That's not him by himself. Did you, that's him, conspire with others, plural, other than him, members, plural, other than him. Associates, plural, other than him. See that? But they trying their hardest to try to make an escape for him. He ain't say no names. He is. The names is rolling 60. They all under a rolling 60s indictment. So the others and associates are everybody that's under the indictment of rolling 60, by which he is now confessing to be a member of and an organizer of. Come on, man. Stop with these games.
The defendant. Yes. The court. Were you in fact an organizer, leader, manager, or supervisor within the enterprise?
Hold on. Look at what he said, though, right? I missed that part. I want y'all to remember he's testifying of his actions being done in furtherance of the gang. Watch this.
Jersey. The defendant. Yes, ma'am. The court. Did the enterprise have rules, traditions, and protocols that you followed as a member and associate? The defendant. Yes, ma'am.
See? Did they have protocol that you followed as a member? See? They had a chain of command and protocols that they followed that he had to carry out. This is what it's saying.
The court. During the time that you were a member of the enterprise, did you knowingly conspire, that is, agree with other members and associates of the enterprise to commit at least 2 criminal acts in furtherance of the enterprise?
See that? See that word? Did you commit at least 2 criminal acts in furtherance of the enterprise? That's what he's playing to. Notice what he just said. In furtherance. They know what they saying when they use that word, but niggas wouldn't know what in furtherance mean. They're looking at in furtherance as being like a state of time. That ain't what that meaning. In furtherance mean, and they know what they doing as a government. In furtherance mean that you're committing acts under the command and direction of the gang. It's not talking about a moment of time. Like niggas will read that and think, oh, in furtherance, that's talking about a moment in time. No, it's not. In furtherance mean that you are committing crimes under the command and direction and authority of the gang. That's what it means. It's not dealing with time. And that's how niggas read paperwork. Oh, in furtherance of, that means later on, somewhere in time. No, in furtherance of mean that you committed crimes at the direction of the gang. That's what it means. Look, right here. And that's what Surfing pleading to. That he was commanded and given orders under the direction of the rolling 60s to commit criminal acts. So he's not taking accountability of his own action. They lying to you. Watch this. Let's go a little further. This is how you read paperwork. So Surf admitted that his actions was done in furtherance of the gang. They made him do it.
Enterprise to commit at least 2 criminal acts in furtherance of the enterprise? The defendant. Yes.
Bingo.
The court. Were you in fact an organizer, leader, manager, or supervisor within the enterprise, Mr. Cox? The defendant. Yes.
Very important. Because what he's doing is establishing that all around the rolling 60s is a criminal enterprise, which actually is proving RICO against everybody that's fighting the case, saying that they're not an enterprise. Same thing that Young Thug was mad at Gunner about when they were saying we are not a gang, we are a record label, and Gunner was like, no, we not. We are a gang. He was establishing the RICO, and he got off by admitting that they were a gang. They dropped his charges and got him off for just admitting that they were a gang. Why is that important for him to admit that they are a gang? They were willing to give Gunner a free pass to get everybody else under it being a gang, because now you had a physical representation of the paperwork that we was investigating, proving that he was a gang. This is what Surf doing. He's the physical representation for the state, proving that the documentation given to the state is accurate upon him being a person, active member, committing criminal acts, and proving they did all the above that's written about it. Notice what he said. He helped organize, he helped manage and supervise as being a part of leadership. So therefore, you have more than enough. You have an active member in the role of leadership actually confirming that the Rolling 60s is a criminal enterprise. Come on, man.
The court. And did you, in fact, commit certain overt acts in furtherance of the conspiracy?
There you go again. Are you committing these acts in furtherance of the conspiracy? In other words, again, what do that word in furtherance mean, students? That you're being commanded, ordered, and directed under the authority and discretion of the gang to commit and carry out criminal acts by which y'all are now indicted. So he's not taking accountability for his own actions. He's blaming the gang. There you go again. Look what it says. When you see court, the second court they're speaking, did you in fact commit certain overt acts in furtherance of the conspiracy? What in furtherance mean again? I got to keep showing y'all this. In furtherance, crimes must be committed to benefit the enterprise. Prosecutors must show the individual committed crimes at the direction of the gang. Individual committed crimes at the direction of the gang. So Surf committed crimes at the direction of the gang. They made me do it. I was commanded to do this by them. I was following protocol, like he just admitted. Had no other choice. Stop with these games. There you go, man. We can listen to more and more of this. It gets worse and worse and worse.
The defendant, yes.
Watch this, and this gonna prove it even more that he's testifying in furtherance of the gang under the command, direction, authority of the Rolling 60s. Look at this next question they used to tie it all in. They mention a word. Let's see if y'all could figure out how this word ties in with his plea of operating in furtherance of the gang. Watch the word they use.
The court. For example, on or about March 18th, 2017, did you shoot at a member and associate of a rival gang? The defendant, yes, ma'am.
Bingo, there you go. What is the word there? To tie in that he's committing acts in furtherance of the gang, under the gang authority, under the gang direction, under the gang discretion, under the gang giving him these acts to carry out. Notice the word they use. The word is rival. See what I mean? What did it say? In furtherance of the gang mean what? It means that you are doing these, right? You are doing these acts in associations, right? In association with gang members for the purpose of advancing their position in the gang. You must prove, right? Prosecutors must show the individual committed crimes at the direction of the gang. And what did they say right here on this paperwork? Did you shoot at a member in association of a rival gang? See, these prosecutors been doing this stuff their whole careers. Every question is perfectly lined up to prove their argument by which the documentation is confirming now. And Sir says, yes, I shot at rivals. Why is that so important? Because because he's pleading under in furtherance of the gang. So the Rolling 60s commanded me to go shoot at rivals. See how his lawyer hooking him up? Even Surf lawyer hooking him up. Like, no, we're not going to have you say you did it. We're going to say your actions were done in furtherance of the gang. You were shooting at rivals of y'all gang. So therefore, your orders came from above. And you had no choice but to do this because they are string and guns and murder. See, Franklin them got murders on them. And that's the leadership. And that's the leader. So your actions were done in furtherance of the gang, and you had no choice. See that? Come on, man. So it's all right there. Don't let these people lie to you. They lying to you, Hitman. They lying to you, brother. Now, again, I don't expect for you to come out and blast your homie, your guy, but he snitched. He told. And I could keep going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. That ain't nothing. That's nothing. It's more. But I know nobody could get around that. Whack 100 can't get around that. Verb them can't get around that. Nobody could get around that. Surf is admitting that all his actions were done in furtherance of the gang, under the command, direction, authority of the gang. So all them lies, they lied to you. When they said he took accountability for his own actions, they lied to you. When they said that, they all came together and made an agreement, they lied to you. That's a lie. Because we have paperwork of members actually saying, no, I ain't trying to take no deal. I'm not a part of the rolling 60s. I didn't do that. That's what Warden said. Mr. Warden said, the one who was on the phone talking to Surf, who Surf agreed that was us on the phone. Franklin wasn't trying to take a plea deal for no 30 years. He the last one to take a plea deal 2 years later. Don't let these people make no lie out of you. Look, Hitman, let me tell you this, bro. Your obligation is to your wife and your kids. Leave these niggas alone. Stop believing you got friends. That's your obligation. It's supposed to be to God first, the Lord Jesus Christ, then your wife, then your kids, then your family. If you break that order, you hurting yourself and you failing in your family. Don't let these niggas bring you down. Stop listening to these fake people. Research it yourself. You need to be, especially if you're going to have these people around your kids and your wife. You need to know the truth. Okay? With that being said, it's your boy Battle Truth. Ain't my judgment that's in question. It's yours.
Bustin' no streets for you, so leave me waiting on you. Bustin' no streets for you, so leave me